let me ask you a question. Have you ever had ice cream on pizza before?
I've never had that. How about you?
I don't think anyone has, but I'm pretty sure that after this episode of Ms. Marvel, someone's tried it. I don't think it's just going to be good.
Yeah,
I think
it's gonna be a thing. People are gonna be like doing TikToks and Instas and all that with ice cream pizza.
I think you could probably like dip some. I don't even know how that would work. That just sounds nasty. It just sounds kind of
I mean, it's
disgusting.
got to be vanilla, right? It's got to be vanilla. You can't do another flavor. It's got to be vanilla.
I could see like some kind of chocolate or
'Cause
coffee flavor. You know, I could see that. But
I feel like vanilla's close enough to like mozzarella or ricotta cheese, maybe cheese flavored ice cream.
Now listen, I can see someone taking their pizza crust and dipping it into some ice cream and then eating that. I can see that.
Absolutely, yeah, totally.
It's a salty kind of savory, but not with like tomato sauce and pepperoni and stuff on it. I don't see that. That's disgusting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, pepperoni, tomato sauce, and ice cream. Come on, man.
No. Anyway,
would you eat that on a plate or in a bowl?
I wouldn't eat that.
On a bowl.
I wouldn't eat it. Anyway, that's just one of the interesting things to talk about for this episode of Ms. Marvel called Crushed. This was a very interesting episode.
I think you eat it on a plate. Jarvis. You eat it on a plate, and you smear the ice cream across the pizza slice. That's the only way you can do it.
Are you a cold pizza fan or a hot pizza fan?
I mean, I prefer hot pizza, but I also love cold pizza.
See, I can't eat cold pizza. It has to be warmed up. So that's the problem. So I think if you like cold pizza, you can put the ice cream on there, you're fine. Because cold pizza is also disgusting.
I'm not saying I would like ice cream pizza, but I'm saying if you're going to eat ice cream pizza, you're eating it on a plate, and you're smearing the ice cream across the pizza.
That's just some random person who was writing the show, just putting something weird in, and now it's going to become a whole thing, which is interesting. Anyway, Ms. Marvel episode Crushed. I mentioned on Twitter that this episode was jam-packed full of different ideas and concept. It was a very busy episode, but it worked. And it was so interesting because there were places in the episode where I was kind of like bored, like kind of like ugh, whatever. But as a whole, the episode was working on some interesting threads. What did you think about this episode?
That was a good episode. Another good one. Solid 2 for 2. My son was a little cringed out during it. He couldn't handle some of the like it's titled Crushed. It's all about her having a crush on this guy. New student at school.
Yeah, that's some good. That's a like there was a cringe-worthy moment last episode. There was one this episode, so I guess we just have to do a cringe watch. Like the show knows how to make people feel uncomfortable, and having Kamala have a crush on a boy was definitely but she sold it. She sold it well. I thought
she's really great with the facial expressions.
Yeah, what's the actress's name?
Job with the facial expressions.
What's her name? You know the name.
Iman Vellani.
Yeah,
Iman Vellani.
She's terrific. She makes this show. When she came home after having her little pseudo date with that boy, and she was singing and dancing and stuff, it felt real. Like she feels like she's only 19. I know that, so she's not that far removed from being a teenager, so she knows what it's like. And it just feels.
I really like the beginning of it when she goes into school again.
Yeah.
On the high from getting her superpowers, and it's like it's a totally different experience of coming to school that day versus the other day that we saw.
She feels real self-assured. Yeah, and of course there's other things that happen. So let's start from the beginning.
Confident.
Yeah, let's start from the beginning. The episode starts off with her going to school, hanging out with her friends. She meets Nakia and they talk. And we slowly get through the progression of the school, and then we get the train montage that you predicted last episode, right? Yeah, that was
not as big of a training montage as I was expecting, but it was a good one.
I thought it worked well because at first she couldn't get the platforms, which they call hard light, to work, and then slowly but surely they get them to work.
Hard light. I liked that.
Yeah, well, shout out to Destiny 2 because that's the name of a very famous gun. Yeah, so it's kind of fun.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the hard light effects actually look really good when you look at the CGI effects of it. It looks solid. The CGI special effects of this show look better than I would say Moon Knight, 100% without a doubt. like this looks really good. And so they did a good job of that. And they showed her like
There's
slowly.
Less of them so far.
Yeah, what we see, it looks solid.
Her suit's a practical effect so far. Yeah.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I just lost train of thought. Oh yeah, and I like the train martial arts because at the end of it, she was able to kind of dance off the ground very easily using her new abilities. And there was a new plot point that came out. So apparently, Bruno has the iPad that's able to scan her body, which of course no one has. We don't have tri-core technology. Okay, if we had that, everybody would be scanning.
He's a very smart kid.
Oh, nobody's that smart. But
he made the Zuzu device. Remember?
We find out that her abilities are actually coming from inside of her. So the energy source that creates her abilities is coming from her, not the bangle. So this kind of brings up maybe she is Inhuman. She might have something going on. I would love it if all Inhumans are South Asian or have some kind of if the Inhumans have some kind of South Asian kind of origin. This would be kind of fascinating, but we'll just have to wait and see about this. But I like the fact that
was Kamala Black Bolt a South Asian guy?
No, they didn't have any racial like features. Like he was just a white dude, and there was a dark skinned person, but he was half man, half cow. So he didn't have anything like that. But I mean, you can switch things up. I mean, it doesn't have to be 100% 1-to-1.
Right.
But I like the idea that Kamala is special, not the bangle. Like she has abilities, and the bangle allows her to use her abilities. That's cool because like it could easily have been without the bangle, she's nothing, and then like all of a sudden she loses the bangle and she's not here anymore. So I like that. I like that the show did that. It was solid. What happens after that?
Did you catch, however, that the way she learned to do the platforms with her hard light was by watching her friend Bruno playing a game on his phone?
Yeah,
like a platformer game.
She kind of had an idea that that was clever. That was neat. And like
that's kind of cool. I like that.
Yeah, and the show is I keep trying to figure out who they're aiming this show to. Because the show is definitely either highlighting how much teens are using social media and phones, or it's a criticism, or it's just like I'm not really sure. But like the show does a really good job saying these are teenagers. You know, like Kamala was talking about likes and being popular and having a social media following. And I was like, do kids do this? Right. Is this high school where like all you want to do? I guess it would be now. Like you just want a big social media following? That's disgusting to me. Like all the stress of high school, and now and on top of it, you need to have a certain number of followers on your social media so you can feel good about yourself. That's just all teenagers who are listening to me right now. I'm sorry, that must be so stressful. That's like I can't even imagine how stressful that is.
Yeah.
And then we get Do they go to the mosque before the party or after the party?
I think they go to the mosque next.
Yeah. What do you feel? How do you feel about the show highlighting Pakistani culture, Islam? How do you feel like the show's doing it?
Seems like they're doing a pretty good job of it. It's cool seeing that stuff. It makes me feel bad that they're part of a culture that's so sexist in the way that their culture is set up and structured, which they show us a bit of, but still these people, that's everything that they know, so that's what they do.
Yeah, and I like the fact.
What do you think about it?
I like the fact that the show showed a couple different things. They showed the preparations for prayer, so they showed them washing, and then they showed them being. Right. They showed the separation between them. And then when Kamala highlights that, the Amon said, "Hey, the reason for this is traditional and also to keep us humble, keep us he didn't use the word humble, but it's the idea that the separation is supposed to keep the sexes not disconnected as far as
I think modesty is what he said.
Modesty, yes, very good.
Modesty,
yeah, and I feel like the show it has the same kind of conversation that a lot of Muslims have. It's like, this is our religion, we love it, but also there's parts of it that we kind of don't like. And I like the fact that they had that kind of conversation because they highlighted how
and we've got Kamala who. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I like the fact they highlighted how the conditions on the women's side were just falling apart versus the men's side, right? And that's an easy kind of critique that I thought the show did really well. It's not only highlighting Pakistani culture and Islam, but it's also featuring how women see it, like Pakistani women see it, how Muslim women see it. And I thought it was really well done. Especially going when you saw the little girls taking pictures of themselves and the older woman tells them not to do that. It shows that it's a real religion that real people are taking part in that has real people as participants. And I thought it was strong. It was good. They could have easily messed this up in a number of different ways, but it was solid. And then right after they highlighted that, they showed how even 20 years later, how 9/11 has still persecuted Muslims in the United States, because as soon as they realized that the woman, the superhero, the new superhero might
the damage control people.
Yeah, the damage control people. As soon as they realized that she might be of some kind of ethnicity, they were using that to find out who she was, and then they started targeting mosques to try to find her. And I thought they did that in a way that just they showed the good parts of diversity in America, the great parts about being a Muslim in America, and then they showed the real problems, which is it's easy for them to spy on them because they've always spied on them. So it's I thought the show knows.
Yeah. Agent Clary told the other agent to be careful because we know the FBI is already in there.
Yeah,
monitoring these people.
And the show's so efficient. It only took a couple sentences here, a couple sentences there to really push that. Hey, Mike, hang on just for a second. You there, Mike? Hang on.
Pizza time.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay, are you downstairs? Are you downstairs? Okay, we'll come and get right now. Thank you.
You're back, right? You're done with your pizza business for now?
I am done with my pizza business for now until I eat my pizza with ice cream. All right. So
yeah. I was going to ask if you got some ice cream to go on.
Yeah, I did. I totally did. You should figure out a way to loop this into the podcast, but you probably won't. Just go ahead and cut.
Okay. Pizza places are going to start adding that in. It's going to be an option from now on.
That's just so gross. So like I said before, like I was saying, I'll just restart right here. So the show is doing a really good job showing Pakistani culture, Islam, and some the issues that our country has with the discrimination. Does it really well. I think it does it seamlessly. I'm concerned that the show packed too much in because we've got so much, and we haven't even talked about the comic book aspects of the show, which there are a few, or we haven't talked about this new guy she has a crush on, Kamran, I think his name is. And we haven't talked about Bruno and how he feels about it. Bruno he's getting ready to go to a super great school thing in California. It's just almost overwhelming.
Right.
And we haven't seen this pace in a Marvel show ever. It's just a completely different tone.
I'm kind of okay with it because here's why. I'm hoping that they're going a little bit fast here in the second episode so that they don't feel rushed in the 6th episode.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, because the Lord, we are.
Yeah, the people behind this are the story people behind this are the story people behind Loki. We both loved Loki. It's one of their best ones. But leading up to the end, it felt like it was kind of rushed. So I'm hoping they learned their lesson here, and that's why this one had so much in it, and the rest of it's going to flow better.
Yeah, I'm excited for that, and part of it is I understand that this show is about she's probably 15, 16-year-old girl. She just got superpowers. She's got hormones. She likes boys, blah, blah. I understand that, but I'm not that. And so when I'm watching the show, I'm thinking, is this for me? Am I enjoying this? I keep saying yes sometimes, but I'm way more I'm way more interested in the superhero stuff. I just am, and I'm more interested in.
Would you watch this if you didn't have a podcast?
Gosh, Mike, I don't know, man. I'm going to say yes on that. Yes, I would. I would watch it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, I would.
It's been fun.
Yeah, and like I feel like I'll miss something if I don't. I feel like this is going to be a great story. Period. So I really want to watch it and see how it turns out. So yeah, I would watch it.
Right. And if they're getting through so much in the second episode before she's like really, into her powers and stuff, maybe you can get more of what you want in the remaining 4 episodes. More of the superhero stuff, because the kind of setting the stage and building the characters took place earlier on and at a little bit of a faster pace than some of the other shows.
And here's what I think, and I think this is something that Marvel thinks. Marvel would say, Jarvis, you've had several different Marvel series that's been for you. This chill out, and like I think I agree. Like like if I had a 15, 16-year-old son or daughter, I'd be like, you can watch this, no problem. I have nothing wrong with it. Like even a 10-year-old, I'd be like, this show's great. It's obvious. It's right for you. There's not crazy violence. It's talking about things that you should be appreciative of. Go for it. And like we don't need a show where the main character has a social personality disorder, gets shot in the chest 3 times. We don't need that all the time. And so I feel pretty good that Miss Marvel's filling in a pretty solid slot that's needed. And it's a clever show. It's well done. It's funny. But we haven't even got a chance to talk about everything yet. So let's continue. I thought the most interesting thing about the episode is when she suits up for the first time to try to be a superhero, and she succeeds and fails at the same time. Like she gets up.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I liked that. I liked that a lot. She ultimately does what she set out to do. She saves the kid, even though, had she known why that kid was hanging off the side of the building, maybe you wouldn't have bothered. But
it's such a great critique of social media, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to Instagram myself hanging out of a window, and I'll fall. And they did a very dramatic scene where the phone cracks when it hits the ground. I mean, the show wants to tell kids, hey, get off your cell phones. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, and kids do stuff like that. It's ridiculous, but yeah,
you gotta get those likes. You gotta get those likes. You gotta do it for the gram.
If I was Spider-Man, and I saw why he fell, I probably would have there's got to be something more important.
You would have saved him. You would have saved him and made him feel guilty. You're Spider-Man, okay? But
yeah, you might be right. You might be right. But she saved him, but she didn't do it perfectly.
No, and something happened to her.
There's something for all of those people out there that pull out the old the Mary Jane critique of all these characters, that they are immediately perfect. Well, you can't make that argument here.
No. And something happened to her.
They've covered those bases.
Yeah, like she saw an image of a woman, and I think we see her at the end of the episode, but her bangle, her powers are starting to flare up and do weird things to her slowly. And I like the fact that when the boy almost died, but she was able to get him to the ground, but he hurt his ankle. And then she escapes, and then she starts feeling like kind of stressed out. She's like, God, what did I do? Like, what am I doing? And that's how she should feel. Like, if you're a 6-year-old, you think being a superhero sounds super fun, but then when someone's life is on the line and you almost get them killed, you might start second guessing it. And then, I mean, she's has a crush with this guy she's never met. She's like, being all Nazi with him. And then like she's like dressing up and trying to be a superhero. Nazi.
What'd you say?
Nazi.
Oh.
What do you think I said? Naughty.
I thought you said Nazi. I was like, what?
No, naughty.
Like N-A-Z-I?
No.
Okay.
Not even close.
Naughty.
Yeah. She's saying like she's a teenager. Of course she's going to make a lot of mistakes and things and do stuff. But I like the fact that at the end of the episode, things got very real. Damage Control was trying to chase her. She barely got away. And then it turns out that Kamran, who was a sexy, super buff dude that she was falling in love with, ends up probably being a villain. And she gets introduced to a new woman in the back seat. We don't know who she is. So things got real serious real fast. What?
So wait, don't we know who that is? Isn't that her great grandmother?
No.
No. I thought that was the same woman showing up to her in the visions.
I do. That is the same woman that's showing up in the visions, but I don't think it's her grandmother.
I was under the assumption that's her great grandmother.
We'll have to wait. How much?
The woman that they told the story about in the
maybe.
The story they talk about the partition.
You know my rule, Mike.
At the family dinner table.
I do not make assumptions anymore about things like this. Like, I have no idea who that was.
I thought that's what this episode was telling me. This episode was telling me that that's who that is.
This episode was telling you.
I'm not like making.
This episode is telling you that there's some kind of mystery behind the bangle. So let's go over the story. During the partition, and Mike, you're a fan of history, are you not?
I like history, but I'm not super good at it.
No, it's not hard. Yeah. I almost majored in history. Did you know
keeping
that?
Track of all the different years. I can't keep track of all those different years.
You don't have to worry about that. But anyway, when the British left India, there was something called the partition when the Indian Muslims left to form Pakistan, and then the Hindu Indians formed another part of India. I'm not 100%
sure.
Well,
they didn't choose to do that. They were forced to do that by the British.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I'm not sure if it was because I think it was a decision they made in order to keep the peace.
It was forced. The British was like, hey, we're going to split you guys up by a way that we decided to split you guys up.
Yeah.
Here's how it's going to be. You go here, you go here. Yeah.
And thousands of people died. Thousands of people died. Because like the migration was just was not supervised very well. The British did not help, and so there were civil wars. There was violence, and so apparently that Kamala's great grandmother was a part of that somehow. There's a story where Kamala's grandmother gets on the train because she follows some stars, which seems similar to Kamala's abilities. So the show is saying that
sounds a lot like Hard Light.
Yeah, the show is saying that Kamala's great grandmother had the bangle and had the powers a long time ago, and now Kamala's got it. And the show already said that she has power within her, right? So you put that all together, and it's easy to see that the show's trying to say that there's some history with that. Now, that could be her grandmother in the backseat of the car at the end. It could be.
Great grandmother.
Because we saw her grandmother. She had the phone too close to her face.
That's right. Yeah.
We're just going to wait and see. I don't want to say yes or no to that.
Yeah. I mean, that's who the show is telling me that is. But maybe I'm misreading what the show's saying.
I don't think you're misreading it.
Which would be weird because she hasn't aged a bit since the partition, apparently.
Yeah, I mean,
and Kamala has a crush on her. What would he be? Your great grandmother's son would
uncle.
Be your.
He's her great uncle.
Her great uncle, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They didn't kiss or anything.
Yeah.
You know.
Meanwhile, the cover story was that he was their cousin. Yeah, not yet. No, they did hold hands.
Okay, so now we have a nice little love triangle with Kamran, Bruno, and Kamala. It's not really a love triangle because Bruno's not really involved in it. Because it's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. I think it was a great cliffhanger. But next episode, we're definitely going to see way more of her powers, and a lot of the mysteries are going to be revealed, which is going to be really fun to watch. Really fun to watch.
Right.
And I like the episode. It's fun. But again, I feel like it was just so jam packed that I'm curious. Like you said, if they jam pack it early, right? Just squeeze a bunch of stuff in early, and then now they get more time to relax. Mm-hmm. I dig that. I'm into that, and I like the idea that Kamala might get mixed up with the bad crowd. I enjoy that too. Just so you know, Mike, Kamran, Kamran, Kamran is from the comics.
I was about to ask about that.
Yeah, he has these.
What can you tell us about him?
He got his powers in the comics the same way Kamala in the comics got her powers, which is the Terrian mists there was a Terry and Miss bomb that Black Bolt exploded in New York. I'm not sure why, and certain people got super abilities because of that. And they had some. I think people with.
Was that at Avengers Con?
It was not at Avengers Con. I think she was just like doing something. I'm not sure where she was when she got hit by the bomb.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But apparently, this guy got mixed up in that, and he's a bad guy because at some point, he did try to lure Kamala into like being her friend or being like a boyfriend interest, and then he tricked her and kidnapped her and took her to some supervillain's house. So it's very similar how that played out. So if you looked at some of the trailers of the show, there's these instances.
I haven't. Yeah.
There's an instance where Kamran and Kamala are fighting together. With her, she has her powers and he doesn't have powers, but it looks like he might have some kind of abilities. So he's got to wait. But I think next episode you're going to see some cool stuff. And I think next episode she might travel. She might be going to Pakistan or something next episode. Because I saw the stills and stuff like that, and she's definitely in some different places next episode. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your comic background is making you say that Kamran is a villain.
Well, we have seen them bring villains from the comic and make them heroes. What I am saying is that Kamran can't be completely trusted right now, and he's a part of something that's going to come out.
Oh later. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what we're going to see.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely deceptive.
Yeah. And
I don't know.
He's very handsome, I guess. I suppose, if you're a girl.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, where would you put him on your
next
list?
Not even a little bit.
No,
he's not that. He doesn't deserve to go on the list right now.
All right.
But Amon Valini is definitely.
I think her brother's more handsome, right? Than this guy.
Yeah, I like the beard. Yep. But Amon Valini is definitely carrying the show 100%. Without her, this show would completely fall apart. Like everybody's watching this show now because she's so good.
She's great.
Yeah, she's got a great career ahead of her. I'm pretty excited about it. Right.
Yeah, she's really good.
Any questions or final thoughts or anything, Mike?
You answered my question before I ever asked it. The one about Kamran. That was really it. Wasn't a whole lot in here, at least as far as like things.
There's a couple of things
I wouldn't understand from the comics.
There's a couple of things I want our listeners to highlight. So first, the scene where Damage Control is coming after her. Do you recognize those robot drones?
My son said that's Stark Tech.
Yeah, those are the same type of drones that were used in Spider-Man Far From Home. So the same type of drones that Mysterio used.
And Tony Stark funds Damage Control, right?
We don't know because Tony Stark is dead. So there's a lot of ambiguity about what Stark Industries is doing right now because it looks like they got into some trouble.
Well, Pepper's probably like funding them.
We don't know anything about Stark Industries. But I do know that they are going to make a show. They're making the Armor Wars with War Machine at some point, so I might answer some questions. But Stark Industries has definitely been absent from the stories for a long time. We haven't heard anything about Stark Industries in a while. So, but we do know that tech is definitely Stark Tech. So your son is correct. Give your son a shout out. He should be a guest on the show at some point.
Yeah.
I think that the powers of Kamala are doing what they need to do, which is successful. It looks cool on the screen. Versus,
so you're happy with it now? You happy with it now?
I'm very happy. Versus what it would look like if she had her comic book powers, it would not have translated correctly. They made the right choice. So I'm extremely happy about that. I think some hardcore like fans of Ms. Marvel might be disappointed, but you'll get over that eventually.
Plus, in the future, when she's in the same movie as Mr. Fantastic, you don't want two characters who are stretching around and stuff.
Yeah, you don't want one character who's stretching around and stuff. You don't want to see it. Nobody wants to see it. It's not a fantasy you want. You don't want to be able to stretch. It just look good.
Mr. Fantastic's gonna stretch. I hate to break it to you.
Okay, that's okay.
That's how it's.
If we get a Fantastic Four movie, I'll just be happy that we have it. Just to be honest.
They announced it already.
Yeah,
remember the 4?
They announced it, but who knows what's going to be. But that's it, really. There's no other comic book stuff going on. There's a lot of teen angst that you kind of maybe want to barf at some point. Being a teenager sounds horrible. I don't know. I don't know how people do it. That just sounds like the high school thing and everything else. Just sounds uncomfortable. Just and
yeah, it's definitely seems like it's tougher these days than what we had to go through.
Yeah, I feel like our society has a certain level of stability versus now, which is it just doesn't have. So I feel bad for these kids.
Yeah.
Marginally. All right. I have.
Although crime was higher when we were kids.
Yeah, way higher. Yeah, but we didn't live in high crime neighborhoods.
Yeah.
We lived in the country, so no, there's nothing going on there.
Well, we didn't know about it. We didn't have Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
And all that telling us about all the crime.
Good point. Good point. There was crime. We just was not aware of it. We had ignorance, which is probably better.
That's right.
I have
full ignorance.
I have two.
Speaking of ignorance, is there any news that we can abuse?
There is. It's not a lot this week, but there are two things that I want people to get on their radar. Ironheart is being filmed currently. Just so you know, Ironheart in the comics, a young girl, I think her name is Reedy, I think her name is. She creates
I think Riri.
Yeah, Riri. She creates a suit of armor, and she kind of takes the Iron Man mantle. So that's being filmed currently. So you should be looking for that. I didn't know it was being filmed, so that's probably going to come out maybe next year. If you like Miss Marvel, you will like Ironheart because it's going to be pretty much the same show. And this goes back to what
you sold me on Ironheart when you told me what it was all about in an earlier episode.
Yeah, and what I like about this
sounds like it'll be good.
Yeah, it's going back. I mean, it's going what the Disney Plus is doing is taking all the Young Avengers stuff and pulling from that to create some properties, and I think it's smart to do. I'm still curious about the overarching story of it, but we'll wait and see. But another series I didn't know that was being planned is a Wonder Man series. That's interesting. I'm curious how it's going to work.
You can't just say a Wonder Man series and not explain what this is all about.
So there's a guy, I believe his name...
Because Wonder Woman is a DC superhero.
That's true, yes.
No one has ever heard of Wonder Man before.
I have.
What's the deal with Wonder Man?
Wonder Man, his name in the comics is Simon Williams. So Wonder Man, he became supercharged with ionic abilities, which gave him super strength and durability. He's super tough. He has some cool little jetpacks on the side of his belt. What was cool about Wonder Man is that he was a superhero, but also he was a stuntman. So he did movies and stuff when he wasn't a superhero, which I thought was always fun. So if you like WandaVision and Vision and everything, here's how it all connects. When Vision was being created, at some point, Wonder Man's brain was scanned to give Vision his brain. So Vision and Wonder Man sort of had the same sort of mental mapping, and they ended up becoming brothers. At one point, Vision was super mad about it because he thought he didn't have an identity, but it turns out he treated Wonder Man as if he was brothers. And so it's also there's also a connection with something else about him. I forgot. But the weird thing about him is that he dies over and over again. So he just kept dying. He died, come back, die, come back.
Is he a horrible takeoff on Wonder Woman?
Nothing about Wonder Man and Wonder Woman are the same. Absolutely nothing. Besides the name Wonder.
So he's not a ripoff, a Wonder Woman ripoff?
There's nothing, no, at all, period. Nothing about it. Nope.
Okay.
No.
Because if he was, I was going to say Marvel should have just killed him and never spoke of him again.
For Marvel to make a Wonder Man show is very curious to me because no one's asking about it and absolutely nobody knows about it. So in order for this show to be popular, they really have to get a really good actor because he had a comic for a while, but it didn't last long. He's definitely a character that no one has any kind of hankering to care about. There's lots more Marvel characters out there like Darkhawk and the Sleepwalker and other characters who would be more interesting. Even a Ghost Rider series at this point would be more interesting than Wonder Man. But I've learned not to question Disney. They know what they're doing, so I'm not worried about it.
What if have they cast it yet?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
What if they cast it with the same guy that does Vision?
No, that's not. No. They have not cast it yet. We don't know who the cast is going to be. No. But I will keep everybody in the loop.
I mean, if he really wants to be in every single Marvel movie ever made, he could do that.
Yeah, but he doesn't look the part. I mean,
that could be how he sticks around.
If you click on the link, you actually see a picture of Wonder Man. He looks like totally different. He's like a kind of a buff, kind of jock type dude. Anyway,
I mean, I don't even remember his name, but I mean, you know.
No, Paul something. Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany.
Paul Bettany. Yeah. Paul Bettany.
No. He's not going to be Wonder Man. That's not going to happen. It's not the thing. It's not. And let's don't worry about it. All right. But that's all news you can abuse that I have for this week. So yeah, that's it. So
Jarvis, how can more people learn about our podcast?
The best way to learn about podcasts is to go to the very first episode that we recorded and listen to that, and then listen to every other episode. That's the best way to learn about it. But then,
that's a good way to do it.
But then, as you listen to our episodes, you should start sharing them with your friends and family. Just like, hey, I know you like Captain America. Mm-hmm. Here's a podcast that explains and talks about that. I know you like One Division. Here's a podcast that talks about that. And also every week, make sure you listen to our podcast, share our podcast, subscribe to our podcast. I think our YouTube channel is great. I love our YouTube channel. So that's the way I like to look. I like to watch our show on YouTube when I listen to our show. And I do listen to our show. Do you listen to us?
Absolutely. I love listening to us. It's great.
Isn't it weird to listen to us though?
I learn even more from listening to us than I do from talking to you.
I learn about all the different weird audio takes that I have when I listen to it. How should you share information about the podcast? How do you do it, Mike?
People have got to remember to subscribe, follow, and most importantly, share.
Yep.
Hit the share button right now. Share this with anybody that you talk to today.
Yeah.
If you talk to somebody today, say, hey, you know what? When we were talking, I should have shared this with you, but I'm going to do it right now.
Yes. Help us conquer the world.